All right, any given Sunday sports special. It's me, Jesus. I got my main man Anthony on the other side,
What
and
up?
I got a special guest, a former champion. Steve didn't want to be on the show this week. He was a little bit nervous. He got a big game against Dennis. He's trying to prepare for it. He also guaranteed events. I think since he guaranteed that win, he's a bit concerned. So we got my main man Dom on the show today. Dom, thanks for joining us, man.
No problem, buddy.
Dom's feeling really good today. You know, he's coming off of a big win, a big divisional win against the number one team in his division. He's made some really good trades. So Dom's feeling good, and we're ready to go. Let's get right to it. The first game we're going to get in recap is the worst game of the week. Tampa's Empire versus Dream Killers. There's not much to say in this game, but we still have to at least say something. Anthony, what you got?
Quite simply, neither team deserved the win. It was a terrible game. The scoring just wasn't there. Like I said, Derek Carr by himself would have almost outscored either one of these teams. He put up 40 plus, and one team has 70-ish, one team has 68. Look, it was a terrible matchup. Again, we've been talking about this for weeks. We need to really start to talk about Russell Wilson. His lack of ability to scramble made him special, and not having that capability right now is making him just not, as at this point, a startable fantasy quarterback. And I mean, that's even in the 8-team league. It's not really been there. Another issue that you're running into with Brandon Marshall. I expected the guy to show out this week, but it didn't really happen. It hasn't been happening for the past few weeks. You can blame it on quarterbacks, but these things kind of happen. I'm glad Jeremy Maclin finally got an end zone and showed up. Again, when it comes down to your team and your kicker leads your overall scoring with 13 points, you're just setting yourself up for a loss. For the Empire, look, it wasn't a great game, period. Like I said, you're just happy to survive this week and win. You got Andrew Luck. He does, Andrew Luck things. Amari Cooper had 23. He would have had more if it wasn't for that big drop. But, I mean, he's your leading scorer. You get nothing from the Vikings defense, nothing from your kicker. Mike Evans is so-so, and Hilton, after a few weeks of basically setting the league on fire, only gets 2. So basically, I wouldn't call it a win. I would call it more of a survival. Then, congratulations to the Empire, even though they don't deserve it. But Dom, what are your thoughts?
The biggest thing was Lewis still throwing out Russell Wilson week in, week out. It's been half a season. His quarterback's doing 10 points a game. I mean, he'd be better off streaming people like Dalton, Fitzpatrick, based off the matchups, Wilson's got ankle problems, a mediocre offensive line, and like a pec injury right now. So he's just really terrible choice. Steve's team, actually, now that I took a closer look at it, Steve's team's a lot better than what he scored. Hilton actually got injured with the hamstring injury. You figure if that doesn't happen, he easily puts up 10, 12 points. And the Vikings defense is a lot better than 1 point a game. So I could easily have seen like Steve putting up 90 at least.
I mean, I get what you're saying, Dom. And you're being very, very kind. So let me give you an example as to why I have a problem with Steve's team. I'm gonna go week to week on his scoring. Okay, week 1, 130 points. Week 2, 82 points. Week 3, he had 104 points. Week 4, 86 points. Week 5, 130 points. Week 6, 69 points. Week 7, 119 points. And then week 8, 78 points. Do you see the issue?
That's pretty inconsistent. Yeah.
Exactly. If there's one thing he's consistent about, is that he doesn't score 100 points in back-to-back weeks.
Wow.
That's the only consistency that he has. So I have a major problem with that. With that being said, on the other side, Lewis, how in the world did I get Phillip Rivers for Isaiah Crowell and Cordell Patterson, and yet you didn't even try to get a quarterback? Phillip Rivers would have been huge. Have you seen Phillip Rivers' schedule the rest of the way? I'll give you a hint. He doesn't play Denver anymore. Those games are done and over with. So,
he actually put up 16 points against Denver, too. He did pretty solid against them.
Yeah, 16.
And what's worse for Lou is Lou actually rejected several offers. Like, he wouldn't do Deshaun Jackson for Rivers. He wouldn't do a couple other mediocre people.
Yeah, I guess it's because, he knows what Russell Wilson did last year towards the end of the season, but he's not doing that. It's not happening. Not this year. He's hurt. He's not himself. So Yeah, props to Steve. You still won the game. Listen. The West Division, it's a D2, like Dom likes to say. So it doesn't matter how you get the win, as long as you get the win. So he did get the win, and if I'm not mistaken, he's right there in the hunt for that division.
Next 6 and 7, it's gonna happen. Division champ.
That will be embarrassing if that happens. Next up, we're gonna go all effing losers versus McPoon. Anthony, my man, what you got for me with this one?
Oh boy. Look, I like Rich, and it's great, and I'm glad he won. I'm thrilled by it, but it's weird. Pop's team did the guys that showed up, which was strange. Rodgers has his best game. Ezekiel gives you, his 12 to 16 a week. He actually nails exactly at 14, right in the middle. Rodgers shows up, even though he gets hurt, he still gets 12. Robinson shows up. He gives you 7. It hasn't given you anything all season. But when you have a quarterback who basically just goes insane and throws for 500 yards in Derek Carr, and like I said, Aaron Rodgers had 41 and Carr had 45. Now you only lose by 7. That little bit makes a big difference. And put it this way, Freeman has 17. Ezekiel has 14. So right there's your 7-point difference just from that. But the fact that Kelsey, he actually did great this time. I mean, I didn't see 16 coming from him, and I definitely see 2 coming from Julio. He'll give you 2 or
3 of those a season. He'll give you 2 or 3 of those a season.
Yeah, and that's the part that's infuriating about him. Like, I think he gets so much love in fantasy because the tight end position is so weak. But he has those little spurts, but just don't know when they come. Yep. It came this week, and it came right on time. It was well deserved. What I worry about for Pop's team is that, I mean, you got Rodgers, and you're hoping that they kind of turn it around. You'll bring Gurley back; that'll be fine. You have Ingram, and now all of a sudden that's turned into a timeshare, because
he can't hold on to the football. He keeps fumbling the ball, and not only that, Sean Payton hates Mark Ingram. I'm not. This isn't coming from me. This is multiple people saying how much. I don't know if you guys realize this. If I'm not mistaken, Mark Ingram's had 3 goal line attempts all season. Tim Hightower had 5 in this last game. 5. Meanwhile, Ingram's only had 3 all season. He'd rather hand the ball off to Kobe Fleener in the red zone.
It's worse too. Ingram's never had 20+ carries in a game. Hightower got 20 carries that game. Hightower fumbled and still got put back in the game.
It's disgusting. I mean, Sean Payton hates Mark Ingram. He absolutely hates him. What you got for me, Dom, in this?
They both got really big games from their quarterbacks, but the rest of their teams didn't really do much. Like, I'm looking at Pops' team right now. Spencer Ware got hurt. Jaquiz Rodgers got hurt. I think it's going to come back to bite him, the trading away Gore. I mean, obviously Rodgers and trading away Frank Gore, that's going to hurt, especially if Rodgers and Ware can't recover in time.
Yep, and then, with the Spencer Ware, that he has a concussion, so, he has to go through the protocol. We're not going to know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Pops is probably going to put in a waiver claim on Chuck Kendis West, because Pops is known for usually getting the running backs that are the backups to his guys. So if I know Pops, it's either going to be Charkandic West or maybe Antoine Smith from the Bucks. That's probably where he's looking at to go with his waivers. But Pops has the worst set of wide receivers I've ever seen in fantasy football, especially for an 8-team league.
Allen Robinson, he's better than what he's doing. It's just Bortles is garbage.
Yeah, but those were garbage points. I mean, really think about it. 4 of his 7 points came in that fourth quarter when they were playing prevent defense, Tennessee. That's bad. And yes, I agree with you. It's not Allen Robinson's fault, but at the end of the day, it's reflective of Allen Robinson because his quarterback can't get him the ball. So this is the worst group of receivers I have ever seen. And to make it worse, Pops dropped Stephon Diggs. Which, I don't know if anybody saw Monday night, but Stephon Diggs returned with a vengeance. So, yeah, Pops, I don't know what you're doing, but you haven't made great moves this season. On the other side, McPoon. Anthony, I've told you this how many times. We've gone back and forth with this. Every time I keep hearing you talk about how great Julio is, and I hear people talk about Julio is up there with Antonio Brown and this and that. Julio, 3 times this season, hasn't had more than 2 points. 3 times. Week 3 against New Orleans, 1 catch for 16 yards. Week 5 against Denver, 2 catches for 29 yards. And then last week against Green Bay, 3 catches for 29 yards. Yes, because of injury and blah.
You take out Julio's. If you take out Julio's 300-yard game, people are gonna have the same conversation about him they're having with like Hopkins. Like, hey, what's wrong with this guy?
That's a fact. That's a
no
fact.
offense. No
but
offense.
It's a fact. I mean, this guy to me is one of the most overrated. And again, it's not because the talent isn't there. The talent is there. He is a physical specimen. I've always said this. He reminds me of a T.O. as far as his physique, the size, the speed, the strength, everything that he has. He has it all, but he just does. I don't know what it is. The consistency isn't there with him. I'll always say that. But again,
you watch the game, he's getting like double, triple teamed, you know? There's a reason why like a mediocre receiver like Sanu blew up. The other guy, Gabriel, blew up. Like all these garbage guys.
But that happens. But that's what happens when you're a top flight receiver.
Yeah.
That's what happens to Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown doesn't put up 1 or 2 point games. He'll give you a 5-point game. He'll give you a 4-point game. But they don't give you 2-point games. Especially 3 of them and we're only halfway through.
Well, you know what it is. Brown's a better route runner. Brown's quicker. Brown's better at getting open. Julio's big and a big play guy, but you take away the big play from Julio, you get 30 yards, 40 yards.
So it sounds like you're in agreement with me that Julio Jones is not in the echelon with Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown's in a league by himself, man.
Thank you. You hear that, Anthony? A man with sense. You hear that?
Next game.
Let's go to the next game. Let's go to the next one. We got Drugs Delaney, 67 points, got smashed, got crushed by You Can Still Suck It, Dom, my man on the other side. Dom, you won the game, so you get to go ahead and recap this game first.
Well, it was a big game for me. I was very worried about losing to Dennis, getting multiple games behind in the division race. That's part of the reason why I was so active before the deadlines, you know. My assumption was Moncrief and Eifert were going to take like weeks. They were going to get eased back in, and by the time they were healthy, I'd be out of the playoff race. So I traded for Stewart because the Panthers are letting him run the ball a lot more in the goal line. They're trying to minimize Cam Newton scrambling.
Yep.
And I traded for Crowell, obviously. Not that I'm really big on him. It's just, you know, like it was a better play based off the matchups. And like you said, my main thing here was trying to exploit the best matchups, put me in the best position to win.
And it worked. That was a G move. What you got, Anthony?
I think Drugs Delaney's in trouble.
Oh.
I do. And it comes down to things I've said over the past few weeks. Like I said, when you got to have a Cam, it cures a lot of ills. But again, what makes Cam special is his ability to pass and his ability to run. Now, he's not great at either, but he's above average in both. But that's where his value comes from. Like, he'll have like a 250-yard game, which doesn't really net you a lot of points, but he'll have, 60 yards and a couple goal line touchdowns or something else like that. He adds those points. He creates value. If they're going to limit him to just being a drop back passer, something he's never been, it's not going to work well for him. It'll work well for Dom because I see the ball going to Stewart a lot more. Even for him, I think Olsen had a bad week, only had 1 point, but I think you see a lot more intermediate throws and things like that. Just try to do your best to keep Cam safe and keep him out of danger. Again, it was a smart pickup with Booker. Crabtree gets in the end zone again. But on the opposite side, me and Dom have had this discussion before about the issues with quarterbacks. He got that cleared up. It's either Breeze or Ryan. They're both in the same division, and every defense in that division is terrible. So you can't really go wrong starting either one of them depending upon the matchup. Christine Michael, again, we talked before about the Seattle offensive line. Your word that now he's just becoming touchdown dependent, 10 for 40 in the touchdown it's okay. But like I said, if Seattle's going to keep struggling and not going to kind of feed the ball to Michael or maybe Rawls when he comes back to try to keep the pressure off of them, they're just going to keep stacking up boxing to see if Russ can beat them, and right now he can't. A.J. Green right now might be the best wide receiver in fantasy football. He shows up. Lamar Miller gets in the end zone. He has Crowell. I think you're going to see a lot more Jonathan Stewart after what he discussed. And literally everyone on his team besides the tight end was in double digits. If you have that kind of week, you're almost guaranteed to win. So for Dom, fantastic job.
And by the way, I know I took a lot of heat for the trade when it went down, but I'm glad I traded Green for Beckham with the $5 tag.
Absolutely.
A lot of people were ripping me
you
for that.
You were getting ripped, and that has worked out so well for you. You are absolutely right. All right, I'm going to go very quickly with this. We have so much more to get to. So, Dom, I said it in the trade show. I'm very, very impressed with what you've done. You're in a position now where you can play matchups each week. You can rotate guys in and out, which is what I felt you needed to do because I didn't think the top talent was there for you. I felt that your team had about one or two rock solid guys, and then the rest were just eh. So what you've done now is you put yourself in a position where they may be players, but if you're going based off matchups, those players are going to become really good players depending on who you put in and who they're playing each week. That was a genius move. You've struggled this year with the waivers. You haven't been yourself with the waivers like in previous years. But again, the trades definitely helped you out. On the other side, I'm concerned with Dennis. Absolutely. One thing I will say is I think Cam Newton's is going to start blowing up because now that he made a little baby cry complaint to the NFL about getting hit low and everything, now every single call is going to go his way. Referees are going to be very concerned. They're going to make sure they get the calls, which is only going to help him because he's going to be extremely comfortable. He's going to have fun again. He's going to start dabbing again. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But Dennis loses C.J. Anderson. He loses Jamal Charles. He's hurting. He's hurting bad. And I don't know how many more hits he can take. Doug Baldwin is only as good as Russell Wilson is, unfortunately. So that's not helping him either. So I'm a bit concerned. I still think that that he's going to be in the running for the division because Dennis, no matter how much you try, you just can't put that guy to bed. But it's going to be a tough battle. And lastly was the highest scoring game of the week. The New York Powers 136, a slightly punty Vive 123. Wow, this game was crazy high scoring. Anthony, my man, you go first, just like you wanted to speak first when we previewed the game last week. I'll allow you to speak first now that we're recapping the game.
Outside of you, I outscored every single team in this league. Every single team. And it's not even close. I blow them out of the water. And it's just, look, we already had this discussion about Allen Robinson and his problem with Blake Bortles. Allen Robinson is like a shining star. He's a supernova compared to what DeAndre Hopkins has going on. I personally really feel bad for the guy because I know how talented he is. And all he needed was just about an average game, just 10, 11 points. It would have brought it closer. It might even put over the top just to get the guy in the end zone and against a Detroit defense that just has been terrible against the pass, who were without Darius Slay that week, and they only put up 20 to 13. They should have destroyed that team, and it just didn't work out. The scores went to Lamar Miller and somebody else. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even care. And like I said, everyone basically on my team was solid. Carson Palmer, there's a lot of junk time points with 28.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
They count.
Yeah, like David Johnson did not have a good running game, but still somehow ended up with double figures. Nelson 15, Reed 15. I trade for Eifert. He gives me 16. I couldn't start him, but that's neither here nor there. Forte gives me 21. Murray, even after going out and being injured, still gives me 18. Just the Hopkins performance, and then the way the Arizona Cardinals just absolutely sucked. Like, that's what destroyed me. On the other side, Tom Brady's on a revenge mission, and he's not going to stop. He's basically the Terminator. I respect that. 37 from him. That's a great job. And a big connection to Gronk. Melvin Gordon, I would probably say between him, Johnson, and Murray. Yeah. Those are your fantasy running backs, like for most valuable player, right there. Yep. Even though you didn't get anything from Henry, but like I said, the Broncos defense, even though they gave up 19, those scores and those picks, that really helped. I can't get mad because I think it was an excellent pickup by you, but grabbing Robert Kelly, I didn't expect 14 from him, but as of right now, with Matt Jones struggling and Chris Thompson not really helping out, I think the ball's really going to be in his hands a lot. I can't really get mad at the performance. I just simply lost to a better team. So I have to give all props to you, Jesus, and the Powers. And somehow, some way, you pull yourself out of the mire, and we are tied for first. But what are your thoughts?
Wow.
Let me know what you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, this was hands down my greatest performance as far as GMing and coaching a team. I took risks. I made moves. I knew, listen, I have no Antonio Brown, I have no Odell Beckham, and I have no Jarvis Landry this week. I knew going, all right, there goes my wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. So I didn't have a good shot. Plus, I had Melvin Gordon going against Denver defense. I knew I was in a little bit of trouble. So I had to take risks. I wasn't going to lay down. I didn't think I was going to win, but I wasn't going to lay down. And I think every single move that I did was the right move. I don't regret not a single move that I did. The Ty Montgomery thing, everybody said he was going to play, and then 130 hits, and oh, by the way, yeah, he's not going to play. I was freaking out. I'm like, are you serious? Because if they would have announced it at 12 o'clock, I could have gone ahead and made other moves that I needed to make, but I wasn't able to. That pretty much just screwed me over. But it worked out. I had to put in Henry. I was just stuck. I had no choice. It wasn't that I wanted to play him. That wasn't even a coaching move. That was just put the guy that's available in your lineup. But this was, like I said, hands down. I'm kind of taking a page out of Dom's book. I think I've been one of the better GMs this year in picking up and using the waivers properly. Robert Kelly, I took off the waivers. Hunter Henry, minus this game, he's been very good. I've taken him up off the waivers in previous times. So, I mean, Ty Montgomery is another guy that I've used off the waivers. I've been using it as well as possible. Isaiah Crowell, who I then flipped into Dante Moncrief, Cordell Patterson also. So that I think I've really used it well. On the other side, Anthony, you're still one of the best teams in the league. This was just one of those weeks that, you just got outscored, but it's nothing you did wrong. There's nothing different I would have done on your team. I am concerned about DeAndre Hopkins. I made that very clear from the beginning of the season. Brock Osweiler is a worse quarterback than Brian Hoyer. I tried to tell everybody that. Nobody listened to me. So I am concerned about that. But other than that, I mean, your team is rock solid. I don't think Carson Palmer's going to give you 28 every week, though. Dom, what you got?
Not much to say. Again, you both have really good teams. You both scored a shit ton of points. It's just one of you had to lose.
Yep. There we go. Dom short is and quick with it. Let's get into next week's games. All right. First game we're gonna get into. Let's go with You Can Still Suck It versus the Dream Killers at 2-6. Dom is 4-4. Anthony, what you got? Oh, Dom, matter of fact, you're in this game. What you got?
I'm not really scared, truthfully. I think he's gonna play Wilson again. I don't think he's gonna take our advice and stream a good quarterback or stream someone healthy here off the wire. I think he's going to trot out Wilson, get another 9, 10 points, maybe 12 from his quarterback. And I think I'm going to start Drew Brees against a Niners terrible defense, and he's going to drop 30 at least.
And that's the one time that you'll be okay with your Niners giving up points. I get you. What you got, Anthony?
I won't watch it. I'll probably be watching the Red Zone channel crying or something, but it's all good. The Niners season is shot at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty. You want that number 1 pick. What you got, Ant?
You know what? I'm going to go to Dream Killers. No disrespect to you, Dom. I got to be contrarian. Steve's not here, so somebody got to, go the other way. Look, I know Russell has a problem, and I'm not going to count him. I think Le'Veon Bell has a really good game against Baltimore. That week off really going to help. Miami's defense is nothing special. I hope they get the ball to Brandon Marshall. I think the Denver-Oakland game is going to be a really exciting game. It's a really good defense against a really good offense. And I think that, and I'm getting a chance to watch the games and watching Trevor Siemian, he's really not that great, but I see more of a connection with him, with Sanders, than I do with Demaryius Thomas. And I don't know why. I just have a feeling. I don't think Jay Ajayi is going to get 200 yards again this week. I don't think that's just not going to happen.
Against the Jets, that's a rough matchup for him.
Yeah, I know their line is all full intact and everything else like that, but the Jets' run defense is probably the only positive that they actually have. Green Bay's run defense was really impressive early on, and everyone not everyone. That's a lie. Well, Pops just doesn't like Frank Gore, but the guy's consistent. He gives you the points. For Dom's team, I see Breeze going off. I see Cooks going off. I see Stewart going off. I know the Rams have a really good defensive line, but they're more pass rushers than run stoppers. We're going to see what Cordell Patterson can do. It's troublesome seeing the past couple games the Vikings, like they can't protect Bradford at all, and he doesn't have.
He might not be in my lineup as of tomorrow. We'll see how the waivers go.
we're going to see how that goes. I think Crowell's a decent matchup again, and Michael's become touchdown dependent. I think if there's going to be a saving grace, I think it might be the Seahawks defense against Buffalo. I'm not certain if McCoy would be healthy or not. If he is, I might have to shift that a bit. But you know what? Like I said, I'm just going to be a contrarian. Just let me get the Dream Killers.
Yeah.
They lost 4 in a row. They deserve one. So we're going to see how this goes. So give me the Killers.
I made a statement on this show a couple weeks ago. I said, Lewis, I was going to pick you one more time, and if you lost, I wasn't going to pick you anymore this season. I'm sticking to that. Give me Dom. Drew Brees against San Francisco. Brad Cooks against San Francisco. They are going to absolutely light it up. So I'm going to go with that all day. I think Cordell Patterson is going to do pretty well for him. I know he was coming off of a concussion, so that's why you didn't see too much of Cordell. But the previous 2 games prior to this week, he was actually playing very well. I think Greg Olsen has a great bounce back game, and yeah, give me. You can still suck it, and I think it's going to be pretty much of a landslide. Next one,
and I'm rooting for DeMarco Murray to miss time. So in that case, I can put Henry in.
But Derrick Henry. Wow.
Break your goddamn knee. Foot,
wow. He wants him to get hurt. That's what you get for picking against him.
That's why he could catch his fade this week. That's why.
Let's get to the next one.
DeMarco, my bad.
Yeah, he does have DeMarco.
My bad, buddy.
We're going to go to McPoon Handlers versus a Slightly Punty Vibe. Slightly Punty Vibe has lost 2 straight. I repeat, 2 straight. Are they sounding the alarm? Do they win this week? What do you got, Anthony?
You know what? I have. Oh Jesus. Yeah, I'm going to pick myself. I really have no reason why. Because oh man, this is just disgusting. The Cardinals defense: DeAndre Hopkins, David Johnson, Jordan Reed, Michael Floyd, Carson Palmer, and Tyler Eifert, all on buys. All the above. It guts my entire lineup. What I can only hope for is that against a weak Atlanta defense, that I know Jameis has had accuracy problems, but there's been a connection there between him and Mike Evans. Hopefully they do something. DeMarco Murray remains DeMarco Murray. It's a really good matchup with Forte against Miami. Now that flex spot, I have Sterling Shepard there, but that's really depending upon what's going to go on with Sean McCoy. If he plays, I know it's Seattle. I don't care. They still don't have Cam Chancellor. That defense just isn't as impressive as it was before. I'm going to put him in there. And I think that might be the edge that puts me over the top. On the opposite side, the only reason why I'm worried is that there's Derek Carr against Denver, but I don't necessarily believe that it's going to go that route because I'm hearing rumors in the wind that
that's right.
Back
he
this
may
week.
Be back. Yep.
And that changes a lot. If Ben's not back and he's starting Carr against Denver, I'm definitely feeling very comfortable about my pick. If he starts Ben, I'm feeling my pick just less comfort. I get really worried because as of right now at flex, depending on how the waivers go, he's going to throw Willie Snead in there. And even that's not really a bad matchup against San Fran. Again, no disrespect to you, Dom. Benjamin's a good matchup. Again, Julio's a good matchup. But between Julio and Freeman, and there's a real chance that Tevin Coleman gets healthy, so maybe he swings him in there.
Yep.
You never know. And that's what really concerns me. If he puts all 3 of those guys in there and then they don't perform, I have a really good chance, especially with Thursday night games because they're not really great. I mean, that Tennessee game was basically over at halftime, and then that was basically it. But again, I just worry about if he gets Ben back, it's going to be a lot tighter than it should be. But as of right now, I'm going to pick the vibe to pull this one out.
All right, I'm going to go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry, you my man. I think you will begin winning again. It's just not going to be this week. I'm actually going to go with McPoon this week. I think Big Ben does play, and with Big Ben playing, he's going to put up a lot of points. And then I love the rest of the matchups. I love Freeman against Tampa Bay. I love Julio against Tampa Bay. I love Kelsey against Jacksonville. Benjamin against the Rams. Even Latavius Murray against Denver. Denver is not good against the run. They're really not good against the run. People think that they're a great defense, which they are, but they're not good against the run at all. On the other side, look, Jordy Nelson. I'm going to make one thing clear. Jordy Nelson, his numbers looked really good last week, didn't they? But they all came off of the first drive. Green Bay did the right thing. They put Jordy in the slot last week so Trufant could not shadow him. So they put him in the slot. But after that first drive, he wasn't separating off of even linebackers during the game. So yeah, granted, he's going against the Colts. Sounds great, seems good. I just don't think he can separate against players anymore. That's a concern. And Jameis Winston, Did he overthrow like 5 different receivers in that game? I think it was about 5, where he had easy touchdowns for deep throws, overthrew every single one of them. I'm concerned, Anthony. Just for this week, like I said, I think you're going to be back to normal once David Johnson is back in the lineup. LaShawn McCoy gets better schedules. But this week and this week only, I'm actually going to have to go with McPoon. What do you got, Dom?
I kind of agree with Jesus on that one. Look, Anthony, your team's a lot better than Rich's team, but I'm looking at your bench. DeAndre Hopkins, despite him having a bad year, David Johnson, like easily the second best running back in the game behind Le'Veon Bell. Jordan Reed, one of the best tight ends. Carson Palmer's a good quarterback. I mean, realistically, you probably could have flexed Reed and Eifert if they were available, but
yep.
You got Murray and Jordy. Both are going to have good weeks. I think Forte is going to eat a lot too, but I don't know about Sterling Shepard. I think Jameis Winston is bipolar. I would not trust him as my starting quarterback. I mean, goes from like having 4 touchdowns to like 1 touchdown. You just don't know what you're getting with him. I get Atlanta's D doesn't scare him, but I just think Rich is going to eke this one out because he's got better matchups. He's got Freeman, Jones going against Tampa Bay's mediocre defense. I don't like the quarterback, Carter versus Denver. But if Big Ben plays, obviously, I think Rich is going to win pretty comfortably.
Yep. Agreed 100%. All right, let's get to the next game. We got the New York Powers versus all effing losers in Pops. I guess I'm going to have to go first on this one. Matter of fact, I don't like going first in my own games. You guys know that. So, Anthony, what you got for me, boss?
Give me the Powers, and there's a few very simple reasons. You're going to figure out something with the kicker, so that's why the game is slightly close right now. Rodgers and Elliott should have a good week. Allen Robinson, I can't say come back down to earth because I don't even think he left Earth. I think 7 points is not leaving Earth. And KC is a really good defense. With their quarterback hurt and their running back hurt, you expect a lot more ball control, short passes, eat up the clock, and they have a really good defense. So I don't think it's going to work out too well for there. Devontae Adams had a few solid weeks, but I'm not certain how far that connection is going to go. I know it's against Indy, and it might turn into a shootout, but last week, Rodgers had a great game by just spreading the ball to everybody. I mean, I think that's where they're going to go, especially with the lack of running attack. It's a lot of short passes, hopefully pull a line up and maybe hit something over the top, but it's a lot of chip away and things like that. Going to have to do something about Spencer Ware because more than likely he won't start this week, and Todd Gurley against Carolina is not a good matchup. Now, on the opposite side, Philly's defense is actually better than I thought it would, but I think and I'm hoping that during the bye week that they work out something that gives that Giants offense a little bit more flexibility, maybe a few substitutions, make some very important changes. It's good to have Jarvis Landry back against that New York Jets pass defense. You talk about the run defense, solid, but that pass defense is terrible. If Ben's going to be back, that means a big game for Antonio Brown. Like I said, I'm expecting Indy and Green Bay to get into a shootout, so expect Moncrief to be there. Again, Melvin Gordon right now one of the top 3 backs, so it's going to be a good matchup between him and Murray this week. Yep. And Phillip Rivers is Phillip Rivers. He's a good bye week fill in for Tom Brady, so you can't complain. I'm going to have to take the Powers this week. No disrespect to Pops, but the Powers just have a better team. So
if Pops loses this week, he's in trouble.
I think if Pops loses,
he needs this win. Yeah, he needs this win badly. What you got, Tom?
I mean, I'm going to go with Jesus. I mean, you just put up 130 without your 2 best players, without Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham. Really, those 2 guys are great. Then you got Moncrief as a flex. Gordon's good. Rivers should light up Tennessee. Should easily have 2 touchdowns, 250, 300 yards easily.
Yeah.
Pops obviously is going to get probably 30-plus points from Rodgers. Rodgers will have a good game. Zeke will have a good game. Allen Robinson, I just don't know. He's talented. It's just quarterback's not getting him the ball. Hopefully with the new offensive coordinator, they'll force him. They should force feed him. He's the best player on the damn team.
They try, but he overthrows them.
Yeah. There were plenty of throws on that Thursday night game, too, that were out of bounds where Robinson was, wide open.
Yep, exactly.
Adams I like a lot versus Indy's crappy defense. Rudolph against Detroit's not bad. Ware might not even play versus Jacksonville. That's what could hurt him. You might have to maybe put in Jeffrey or something. I don't know, but I'd be really hesitant to play Ware with the concussion thing.
I mean, I think he's gonna have to put in Ingram because Ware may not play unless he puts in Charkandrick West. Like I said, if he picks him up, with the waiver. I'm actually, guys, and this isn't me trying to do reverse jinx. This isn't anything like that. I don't believe in that reverse jinx anymore. If I'm being honest with myself, I went into this. I knew these 2 weeks were going to be the toughest weeks all season for me. And I went in there saying I wanted to go 1-1 against Anthony and Pops, because I knew that these 2 weeks I was going to have so many bye weeks. Last week it was Landry, Beckham, and Brown. This week it's Gronk, it's Hill, it's Brady, it's Gostkowski. So I knew that these were going to be the toughest weeks of the season for me. So I'm actually going to go with Pops here. And the reason why I'm going with Pops is I think Aaron Rodgers against Indy is going to do, they just lost. He's going to go berserk. I think Devontae Adams is also going to go ahead and go crazy as well. So that connection is going to be huge for him. I think Ezekiel Elliott is going to do very good against Cleveland. I think he's going to explode there. And then, doesn't matter who he puts in at the flex. Even if he puts in Mark Ingram, I think Mark Ingram he's going against San Francisco. So anybody can run against San Francisco.
Ooh.
So that definitely scares me.
Is he going to have the balls to play Ingram after Ingram got benched and missed the entire game? That's
the question. Yeah, will he actually put him in the lineup? The other side, it's not because I don't think I'm going to score points. I think I'm going to score points. I think I'm going to break 100, to be honest with you guys. But I just think Pops on the other side, I think this will be the 1 week that Pops finally shows some consistency in scoring. That's why I'm actually going to take Pops in this game. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't pick myself just because I'm picking myself. I don't have Brady. If I was full Gore, I would absolutely pick myself, but no Brady and Gronk, that's actually absolutely going to hurt me. And the game of the week, fellas. Tampa's Empire versus Drugs Delaney. The game of the week. Dom, I don't know who you want to win this game because I know, this has implications for you division-wise, so I'm going to let you go first with this one.
Give me 1 second. I don't have it pulled up yet. I'm switching over to it.
Anthony, go ahead. While
someone else go first.
Go ahead, Anthony.
It's like he doesn't care so much. Like, look, I don't care. I'm just trying to win. So whatever happens. The question is, do we really love the Empire that much? Like, it's concerning. I know that we had this discussion before about, or I say that the issue with Cam and you worried about him not being able to run the ball much as he did in the past. But the thing that it comes down to this week is that it's the Rams. Like, it's not like it's a major defense. It's the Rams. Like, if you don't put up 30 on the Rams, that's when you start to get worried. I think Booker's going to have a really good game.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't think it's going to end up in a shootout because Denver just doesn't have that kind of offense, but I think they just kind of want to control the ball, keep it away from Oakland. Oakland's defense isn't that great. Randall Cobb, in general, I'm not really favoring the guy, especially since I have Nelson. But again, it's really a slot machine offense they're doing in Green Bay. You're just pulling it, and whoever's open is getting the ball. And so if Cobb's there and he's healthy, I think he gets a lot of touches. I think Cooper stays out of end zone this week, but I think Crabtree gets back in. I'm not a fan of West. I think Diggs is going to have a really good game against Detroit. I think they're going to give Bradford just enough time for him to survive. I mean, he missing a big pass to Diggs on Monday night, but I think they're going to work on that. They're going to get that tightened up. On the opposite side, you have Luck and you have Hilton. Like I said, that's your dynamic duo. You're throwing Mike Evans. And he does have really good matchups. I'm not certain why he would go with Demaryius Thomas now, especially – yeah, he just likes the guy. Just stick with him. Cooper's
Dez is back. Dez is back.
And the issue that comes down with the Empire is that it's Cooper and it's Crabtree on the opposite side, and they're basically facing off against what we can not even argue. They're probably the best pass defense in the NFL. So I've never seen two guys go off on them because of how good their corners are. It's one guy or the other. And I think that's where this matchup is really going to split. I think it's really going to swing more in Crabtree's direction than it's Cooper, because Cooper had a great week this week, so they're probably going to key in on him. And maybe Michael Crabtree grabs that touchdown here and there. But I think Drugs Delaney with Cam probably turning into Cam this week, especially against a really weak LA Rams team, I think that's the matchup that gives them the distinct advantage over Tampa's Empire. So give me Drugs Delaney.
All right. What you got, Dom?
I am also going to go with I'm going to go with Steve. I'm going to go with Steve. And Andrew Luck versus Green Bay, easily 3 touchdowns. That's a lock. At least one will go to T.Y. Hilton. Mike Evans versus Atlanta. He's probably going to have a 20-point game.
Yep.
Jimmy Graham versus Buffalo, I don't know about. Not too big on that. I don't know if he's going to leave Cooper or Thomas in there, or he's going to roll out Dez after Dez's huge game. I'd be shocked if Dez doesn't make his way in the lineup.
Yeah, I think he's going to.
Steve's receivers are awesome. I just don't understand why I didn't trade for like a running back that doesn't suck. I mean,
Thank you.
he can't play all the good receivers he has.
He should have moved one, absolutely.
He could have easily traded Demaryius Thomas, who's up and down because of the mediocre quarterback play,
Yep.
and got a much better running back than Bernard or Riddick.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing he puts Riddick in, obviously, because what's his name's on bye. Right now he's got Bernard in his lineup still.
Yeah, I mean he'll go Asiata, he'll go Riddick, he'll go Matthews. They're all ugly no matter what, either which way.
Yeah, none of his running backs have good matchups. Matthews, horrible workload. I don't know about that. Riddick is up against the Vikings D, so I'm not really big on that. Asiata might get a touchdown against Detroit, but that's what he's hoping for. He's hoping for 1 touchdown and hoping from awesome.
That may be the
receivers.
Guy. That may be if
Dennis. I don't want to count him out because I think Cam Newton's going to have a huge game versus the Rams. The Rams are garbage. Booker is going to have a really good game versus Oakland, I think.
Yep.
Cobb, I can't figure out. He's so up and down this year. I'd be nervous to start him. Crabtree, his most consistent, his number 1 wide receiver is facing Denver, so that's like a big negative matchup.
That's a negative, exactly.
Ebron versus Minnesota, I don't know about that either. Minnesota's defense is a lot better than what they showed last week. And Terrence West versus Pittsburgh, I like. That's hateable. And I like Diggs versus Detroit, actually, too. But I think Steve's going to beat him barely. I think it's going to be close. But I'm looking at Dennis. He's got 2 great players. Well, 1 great player, C.J. Anderson, on IR, and 1 has been Jamal Charles on IR. He's got LeGarrette Blount on a bye, his most consistent running back.
It's gonna hurt. And also Fitzgerald. Also, I agree with you. I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say.
Quick interjection. Can I? You know what? I need to change my pick to the Empire. I'm thinking about this, and then I clicked on it, and I see that he has Dez, and then like, okay, maybe Thomas against Oakland, but that'll be work out. But then I saw Dez. And then I saw they're playing Cleveland, and I'm like, "Oh yeah,
he's gonna put Dez in there. Yeah, he's gonna put Dez in there."
I'll put like this: if he, for some benign reason, he decides to keep Thomas in there, he loses. If he puts Dez in there, he wins. I'm not hedging the bet. I'm just placing.
If he benches Dez against Cleveland, you should remove him from his roster.
He should be dropped from the league if he does that. He should be dropped from the league. He shouldn't even play. That's just insanity. Like, we should go to 17 at that point.
Nah, he's definitely gonna put in Dez. I'm gonna go real quick on this game. This is the game of the week. I'm actually gonna go with Dennis, fellas. I think Cam Newton is gonna go toe to toe with Andrew Luck. Whatever Luck does, I think Cam Newton will better it. I said it. The referees will be taking care of Cam Newton this week. It will happen.
You don't get points for penalties, though, buddy.
You don't get points for the defenders after the first 2 flags, the defenders are going to be very scared to hit him. They're going to be very scared to hit him, which is going to make Cam Newton very comfortable in that pocket.
You think Booker, he's going to do a lot of running?
I don't think he's going to have to. I think he's going to be so comfortable in that pocket because players are going to be scared to hit him. That's my opinion on that. Devontae Booker against Oakland, I really like that matchup. I think Randall Cobb is going to do very well. They were very smart in not playing him last week. Hopefully he's healthy now, a bit better from that hamstring injury. I don't like Michael Crabtree against Denver at all. I really, really don't. But I do like Terrence West. I like Stephon Diggs. But on the other side, I just don't trust. I trust Andrew Luck. T.Y. Hilton's already dealing with the hamstring. This is an ongoing thing. This is year after year with T.Y. Hilton and the hamstring. This is something that always happens. He was taken out of last game. If he does play, he may be taken out again. So that concerns me. And as I said, remember I told you this last week, Anthony, when Dante Moncrief is in the game, it actually hurts T.Y. Hilton's value. This is, and it showed last week. It showed last week, and it's going to continue to show over and over again because he likes to look at Moncrief in the red zone. He loves Moncrief in the red zone.
Actually, all of last year too. Every game Moncrief and Hilton played, Moncrief was the wide receiver 1.
Yeah,
last year's stats anyway.
No, that's a fact. Yeah, and I know Anthony. Just like, he likes T.Y. I get it, but the numbers show differently. Andrew Luck loves Moncrief over T.Y. I don't like Jimmy Graham. against Buffalo. I don't like Amari Cooper against Denver. So yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and not for nothing, that Minnesota defense has looked a little shoddy lately to me. They may not be the same ever since they lost their safety. They haven't been the same defense. So give me Drugs Delaney, which means if this all is correct, Dennis and Dom would be tied for first place in the division, and they still have one game left to play against each other. That's our show. You guys all stay safe, be safe. Dom, thank you so much for joining us. Anthony, as always, man, it was a pleasure. You guys all be safe. We out of here.
All right, thanks for having me, buddy. Have a good one.
You too.
Peace out.